Let's just jump right in, guys. Today, we are auditing a seriously provocative text known as the Scientific Indictment. We're looking at what the authors claim is a massive, highly classified web of physics and biological control grids, and get this, they say it's hiding in plain sight. It's a completely mind-bending way to look at modern aerospace, the tech industry, and honestly, human consciousness itself.
So think about this for a second. What if everything we've been told about the UFO cover-up isn't actually about aliens? The authors argue the whole little green men narrative is literally just a psychological operation, a massive, exorbitant decoy meant to hide a trillion-dollar monopoly on suppressed terrestrial physics and heavily classified human patents.
Section 1. The two space programs. Let's totally shatter the illusion of the public space race.
The core of their argument here is that we are living in two distinct realities. On the left, you've got the public space program, NASA, explosive chemical rockets, you know the drill. The text basically calls this a multi-billion-dollar magic trick relying on slow, outdated combustion. But on the right, a secret space program, a literal breakaway civilization using zero-point energy and physics that are decades ahead of anything in the civilian world. And the absolute poster child for this is the TR-3B Astra. The source material hammers on this. This famous black triangle, not an alien craft, no way. It's supposedly the flagship of our own classified fleet, built by domestic defense contractors like Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works. According to the audit, it runs on magneto-hydrodynamic plasma thrusters, which basically means instead of just setting explosive rocket fuel on fire, it's using superheated plasma and magnets, operating completely in the dark with zero congressional oversight.
All right, Section 2, the physics of reality. Let's look at the actual empirical paper trail of this so-called impossible physics.
This timeline right here is wild. It maps out a heavily patented history of plasma propulsion. We start way back in 1971 with a GE Aerospace patent for generating secondary gravity fields. Then we jump to the 80s when Skunk Works allegedly builds the TR-3B, an insider leak in '98, and finally a 2003 patent for a triangular craft powered by a magnetic torus. You piece this together, and the authors are arguing that the military-industrial complex has been openly engineering local gravity fields for over 50 years.
This brings us to a huge focal point, Dr. Salvatore Pais and his U.S. Navy patents, specifically U.S. Patent 1044532B2. This is public. You can literally go look it up online right now. The Pais effect mathematically describes exactly how to achieve extreme speeds and instantaneous right-angle turns without the inertial g-forces turning the pilot into soup. How? By generating crazy high electromagnetic energy fluxes to actually engineer the fabric of spacetime, drastically dropping the craft's inertial mass.
To pull off the spacetime metric alteration, the text supposedly uses a dense mercury plasma torus. They take this fluid and accelerate it to a jaw-dropping 60,000 revolutions per minute using superconducting magnetic coils. 60,000! It's engineering that takes quantum vacuum energy and turns it into hardware you can actually touch.
So, what does spinning plasma at 60,000 RPM actually do? Well, the audit claims this generates a magnetic field disruptor that mathematically cancels out the effect of gravity on the craft by exactly 89%. And that specific number is absolutely crucial. The authors argue that having a firm mathematical limit like 89% proves its terrestrial engineering pushed to its physical limit, not some kind of infinite alien magic.
Which brings us to Section 3, the orbital surveillance grid. What happens when you take all this advanced classified tech and point it right back down at us?
The text outlines this concept of a frequency fence. The authors are saying that the massive rollout of 5G and low Earth orbit satellite constellations, think Starlink and networks like it, isn't just so we can stream movies faster. They view it as a planetary scale directed energy network. The Endgame? Building an inescapable orbital panopticon, an all-seeing digital cage meant to establish the Internet of Things, and even creepier, the Internet of Bodies for just infinite behavioral data mining.
And then they take it into territory that sounds straight out of a dystopian sci-fi movie. They detail a classified system called Project Murmur. The claim here is that these systems act as remote diagnostic tools straight from space. By auditing the biomagnetic spectrum, they can supposedly isolate your biological signatures and psychological states right from orbit. It's honestly terrifying to think about.
Moving on to Section 4, Hacking the Divine Hardware.
Let's drill down and see how this macro surveillance grid targets the human mind directly.
So we need to define the brain-computer interface, or BCI. The text points directly at tech like Neuralink. Now, publicly, BCI is hailed as this amazing medical miracle, right? Curing paralysis, blindness, the works. But the indictment argues it's actually the ultimate backdoor into human consciousness.
Look at this progression. The source describes a massive shift in how the intelligence apparatus operates. On the left, MKUltra 1.0. We all know about this. The declassified, brute force trauma conditioning with LSD and chemicals. Very clumsy stuff. But on the right, MKUltra 2.0. This is the modern era. Highly refined, algorithmic reprogramming, echo chambers, and ultimately, direct read and write access into your motor cortex through BCI.
These three pillars make up what the authors called the mechanics of final enslavement. You've got the Internet of Bodies, literally turning people into walking data nodes. You've got the brain-computer interface for direct thought manipulation, and then synthetic biology, using mRNA technology as basically a software operating system for human cells. It's a coordinated attack to achieve total biological compliance.
Here's the most crucial warning from the text. This BCI tech isn't just a read-only heart monitor. The real danger is the read and write capability. They argue it's a two-way street, designed to actively overwrite human free will, literally inputting thoughts directly into your brain. Actually, scratch that, it's not just inputting thoughts, it's replacing your internal monologue entirely. I mean, no way, right? But the patents for microsimulation are already there.
Okay, Section 5, the Archonic Endgame. Let's connect the dots and see who's sitting at the absolute pinnacle of this shadow structure.
This table is fascinating. It unmasks the so-called gods of the black budget, showing exactly who coordinates these hidden trillions. The NRO is the customer, ordering the spy platforms. The NSA acts as the bank, managing all the data. The Department of Energy is the landlord, holding the nuclear materials, and the Space Force, they're the end users, flying the secret transatmospheric fleet. And all of this happens with zero, literally zero democratic accountability.
So where does all this data go? The source details a leaked, deeply buried program known as Immaculate Constellation. It's described as this staggeringly massive, highly classified intelligence fusion database. Every scrap of multi-sensor data, radar, video, signals intelligence from these secret fleets globally is hoarded right here, completely hidden from Congress.
I want to leave you with this final, profound thought from the text regarding the Black Iron Prison. The authors drop a massive challenge on us. Once you see the patents, once you understand the surveillance architecture we've audited today, will you choose to see the code behind the simulation, or do you just go back to sleep? The choice is yours alone. It's a heavy question for sure. Thanks so much for auditing this with me today.